9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
So we put it there, and then we pull it back. Ah, fuck Connect. Hi Kirsty.
Hi Jason, how's it going?
I'm very good. Done calibrating the Connect. But
oh yeah, is it working?
It's something. It exists. We'll say that much. But what we are here to do is to talk about video games.
Yes, we
This
are.
is what we do, and that's what we're doing regularly. And we've got the usual reviews.
Yep.
We've got a very special, I guess, shout out, if you will,
Yeah,
to
I
the Geelong
guess.
Advertiser.
To the Geelong Advertiser. Now this is from Saturday the 27th of November. It is the top video games by Kyle Pollard.
I've never heard of Kyle Pollard, but God bless him for
but I
having an
thought
article.
very interesting to see someone else's top 50 video games of all time for entertainment and longevity purposes or something similar.
Now, obviously, we won't do 50,
No,
but we
too
will do
long.
top 5. So, what do you reckon?
I reckon that's good. Now let's count up from the bottom. So number 5, according to Mr. Pollard, is Mario Kart 64.
Mario Kart 64?
I don't know if it was the best Mario Kart.
Double Dash, man, on GameCube.
No, see, I was always a Super Mario Kart fan. Now,
Okay,
Super
that's
Mario Kart actually made it into the listing at number 31. But I believe that was probably the better.
I know, I say GameCube. But anyway,
Right.
anyway, let's continue.
Number 4, Tetris, 1984, the original. Yeah,
that should be higher.
That's the best. Number 3, World of Warcraft. Now, this is quite contentious.
Less of a game, more of a pokey machine?
Well, see, look, 12 million players can't be wrong. You know, I guess
they
you've got
can
to
be
put it in. Well, you've got to put it in there somewhere for those people who
The
unfortunately.
Germans were wrong. We don't say because there was 30 million of those, they were right.
You make a good point, but oh well.
I don't really.
Oh well, that's Mr. Pollard's. Number 2, GoldenEye 007.
Yeah,
now
that's
that
fine.
is agreed.
Perfect Dark, though, I don't know. Perfect Dark was the better GoldenEye. I guess maybe GoldenEye was first at Revolution.
Well, I think Perfect Dark might have been in here somewhere, but no, GoldenEye 007 was just a classic game. In fact, we have a review of it coming up sometime soon, don't we?
With Donnie, yeah, no, we do.
And the number 1 game, according to Mr. Pollard in the Geelong Advertiser, is Super Mario World of 1990.
Mario World?
That's the Yoshi. That's the inventive Yoshi. He was actually meant to be a Koopa Trooper.
Considering you've also got Super Mario 64.
Yep.
You've also got Super Mario 3.
Well, the original Super Mario Brothers came in at number 12.
And did number 3 make the list?
It should be in here somewhere, surely.
hope
Super
so.
Mario 64 made number 36. Well, Super Mario Brothers 3 was considered one of the best of the Super Mario series, but I can't find it. But oh well.
That's all right. Well, we give him props for trying.
Yes, well, there's definitely some good big names in here, like Pac-Man, Splinter Cell, Worms Armageddon.
No Ocarina of Time.
No Ocarina of Time, which is probably the biggest letdown in this whole series. Although he did name the top 10 video game characters with Mario coming number 1, and everyone's favourite Lara Croft coming number 2. As if you never loved her.
Let's just go. I don't need
Anyway.
I don't imagine triangle boobies at the moment. Let's just keep going.
Oh well.
Sorry, yeah.
Sean White's Skateboarding is the latest release by Ubisoft Montreal. It's the first skateboarding game in the usually snowboarding Sean White franchise. While the game may lack technically, it certainly makes up for it in fun. Like the Skate franchise, you can use the analog sticks to control your skater, but also use the A button to jump and the triggers to dictate whether you're doing a grab or flip trick. The controls are much simpler and less technical than the skate games, but this adds a lot to the ease of playability, especially for non-skater gamers such as myself. The story in this game is pretty crazy. An evil group called the Ministry has been governing the city for the last 20 years, and they're strongly opposed to skateboarding and freedom of choice. They have brainwashed all the civilians into a blue-suited conformist lifestyle and coloured the city in a drab, dark blue colour similar to their suits. They've also captured public enemy number 1, Sean White, and it's up to you as your custom character to save the city and defeat the Ministry by, you guessed it, skating. As you build flow by landing successive tricks and building a combo, you erupt colour from your skateboard and recapture influence from the Ministry, whilst also freeing the civilians from their suit bounds. The dialogue in this game is some of the lamest I've ever heard, and At first it was somewhat entertaining, but as the game continues, it seems to get lamer and lamer and less bearable. The music set list is somewhat balanced. There's a little bit of music for everyone, but it's heavily stacked to emo crap, and I found it easier just to mute the music volume and play my own stuff. It was far more rewarding. The sound on Shaun White Skateboarding, I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. The models in this game are not the most beautiful, but they're certainly not ugly. It's an acceptable level of graphics. The environment is a little blocky, but this adds to your ability to grind. What looks really amazing is the eruption of colour from your skateboard as you land your tricks. Visuals on this game, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Shaun White Skateboarding is surprisingly fun. Building flow as you string together tricks and combos over the city landscape never gets old. Unlike the skate games, you don't have to worry about moving vehicles hitting into you, as none of the vehicles move, and pedestrians have this driver-like quality of being able to dodge anything that comes towards them. The map's been designed to exclude realism in all aspects. It's just a cool place to skate. There are big lumps in the middle of the road to jump off, and if you build your flow meter high enough, you can unlock additional verts to jump off and perform tricks. Unfortunately, the map has been split into 4 segments with loading screens between them, which is a little difficult for immersion. But more annoying is the fact that the game doesn't record any stats. You don't know your longest grind, you don't know your best combo, you can't compare with your friends how well you skate. The game has this interesting mechanic of creatable verts, ramps and grinding poles that are manipulated as you skate along them. It allows you to reach higher areas or cross larger gaps, and it's really an interesting mechanic to include. What was odd was this hacking mini-game that they forced you to play during the campaign to unlock extra areas and open doors. It's similar to the mini-games on the PS2 SpongeBob games, where you play as a ball that has to manipulate itself through a circuit board maze. The only redeeming quality of these was that they were so simple that they really placed no challenge on you. The game does include a local multiplayer for 2 players in split screen and has online multiplayer, but there are only 3 different game types and they're very limited in the amount of enjoyment you can take from them. It does have free skate, which is always a fun way to extend the gameplay with your friends. Gameplay, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. If you're looking for a hardcore, really strict controlled skating experience, then probably stick to the skate games. But if you want something that's a little simpler, it's more fun orientated, then definitely give Shaun White a look. And I'm really hoping that a more polished sequel comes out somewhere along the line. I'm going to give Shaun White Skateboarding a 7 out of 10.
I'm here today to review Castlevania Lord of Shadows. Now, Castlevania Lord of Shadows is an interesting beast. The Castlevania series has this, I don't want to say bad habit, but it has a habit of taking from other game series and making it their own. So it takes from, like for example, Symphony of the Night took from Metroid, so it was like effectively Metroidvania, that the map isn't opened up, you can only open it after you have these powers, that whole very Metroid kind of thing. Hello. This takes from God of War. And it works. Not only it's an easy because it's God of War and everyone likes God of War kind of stuff, but it actually, the mechanics are tight, the fighting is fantastic, and it's actually interesting that you can't just button mash and get through it. You can to a certain extent, but there are some enemies that require you to actually stop and think, because if you keep hitting at them, they'll just break through your guard. And so, you've got like obviously the basic, unblockable move, don't hit this, get out of the way kind of thing. But it works. The combat is compelling. The actual game itself is fairly compelling, and I'm really surprised. It's kind of been my surprise hit of the year so far, and contender game of the year. I mean, how do I justify that? Let's find out. Graphics on this one. The game looks great thematically, stylistically, and even, just basically graphically. It looks really nice. And the one thing that they've managed to do is capture almost a cinematic style, and this is, I guess, the influence of the Koji Pro guys. Some of the cutscenes are real, the way that they're shot, the angles they use, while they're not, too flashy and trendy, they still manage to really capture the essence of what's going on. Like when scary things are happening, the terror comes across, all that kind of thing. But the one thing that the graphics kind of annoyed me with was everybody has like that Unreal Engine kind of gloss to them. They're all a little bit leather-faced. Other than that though, I do like the designs. I think the designs work really well. And the sense of scale, like you're fighting these massive leviathans and it looks like you look up at them and they are huge, huge enemies. And they actually managed to capture that sense that you are fighting this massive beast and you have to take it down. And the boss fights play a little bit like those God of War kind of things. So all up, it looks pretty damn good. I mean, and that's it. That's I say from both a like stylistic sense. The environments look great. The theme, it continues that theme of each enemy looks different, and it just looks good graphically. It's a sound game, 8 out of 10. Now the sound. Speaking of sound, so I did that anyway. Patrick Stewart's in it, does a lot of stuff for this. He narrates the main story quest. He's also a character in it, and while he looks great. And it looks great. It also sounds great. Patrick Stewart though has this weird habit of putting inflections in where they're not actually there in the written text, but that's his style and it works. You've also got the guy playing Gabriel Belmont. I was going to say McLeod there for a second, but that's Highlander. And the guy who plays Gabriel Belmont has this Scottish accent, and it works most of the time, but sometimes it just comes across really badly. It works, and it does the majority of the job, but all the other characters, their voice actors are normally pretty good. The actual sounds of the combat and the sounds of the enemies are pretty good. The whole thing just really feels, and the music, I mean, the only thing is, of course, it builds up when you're fighting and it goes down when you're... So it does what it needs to do. It makes you feel tense when something's happening, and it dies off when it doesn't. So sound-wise, solid, pretty damn good. A couple occasional phone-ins, so 8 out of 10. Now the gameplay, and this is where, I mean, I love that God of War style. I always have. I mean, it's a very simple style to replicate, and it works if you do it properly, and this works really well. The upgrades are given out sparingly, but not too sparingly, so you actually have to earn them. There's different ways to earn each one. The fighting, it works really well. Each enemy has a different way to kill them. Each one has different things that they're weak to or they're strong to. So it depends on who you're using. And you've got the two different magic bars. You've got the light magic and the dark magic. So light magic, when you kill people, will heal you, and dark magic increases your damage, allows you to use fire, that kind of thing. So it's an interesting balance because you suck in souls as you do. It's not like it's just automatically given to you. But you actually have to proportion them wherever you want. So if you want to suck in Dark Souls, you pull it in and it goes to whichever one you want. So you can actually pull in both at the same time, and half of what you suck in will go to Dark Energy, half what you suck in will go to Light. Or if you need to fill up your Light meter, so you hold in L3 and it goes to your Light meter. You push in R3 and it goes to your Dark meter. Works really well, and it's just a good, solid game, and it goes for ages. I mean, I'm talking 15, 20 hours, and that's not a bad thing. It's difficult for a review when you've got like 4 A-grade titles you've got to do, but I certainly won't begrudge it having a decent, lengthy story, and at no point does it really feel like it drags too long. It's all fairly compelling. There's all different characters to meet. There's all different events to take on, and then when you obviously go from like werewolves, trolls, work your way up these leviathans, then you go to like the vampires and stuff, and they've all got their different ways of fighting, and it's all really good. Really impressed with this game. It snuck up and got me. 8 out of 10 for the gameplay. All up, we're looking at an 8. If I had 0.5s, it'd go up to an 8.5. And you know what? I'm really tempted to push it to a 9, but I just can't justify it. While it looks great and it plays great, it's just a little bit too derivative for my taste. That said, it is the surprise hit of the year. It is still a contender for the game of the year. And between it and Bayonetta and maybe Alan Wake, it's pretty much got it in the bag. And that's how serious I'm how great this game is. It's really, really good. A great surprise hit. Check it out.
These are dark times. Times without hope.
Soon, the destiny of every living being will be in the palm of your hand.
They talk of a prophecy. The power of the Lords of Shadow is the key.
You think you can bring someone back from the dead, don't you? Someone you love.
Die, Belmont! so powerful that all reason becomes blind to it. Poor Carmilla. You will cry bloody tears before this night has ended.
Mother doesn't like visitors. But I'll show you where she is, if you play!
The mask is a powerful device.
Can it really bring the dead back?
You are betrayed. There is no resurrection. Only this living death you see before you.
You do realize it's a trap.
I know, but still, I must go.
So, COD BLOPs. So we've come to that time of year again where, of course, it is COD week. It's the industry's period. Everything comes at like this one time, and it's all Call of Duty. So I guess maybe we just get straight to it. I mean, we've had obviously the last few. We've had, you know, Call of Duty 4. We had Call of Duty World at War. We had Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and now we've got COD BLOPs. So as you can see, I'm already filled with just the most optimism I've ever had in my life. But you know what? Surprisingly, I don't like. Now, I know I made a big furore out of the JFK thing in the zombies mode, and I still do it. They can only score a maximum of 8, and that sounds terrible, but they can only score a maximum of 8 because that still, to me, is like stupidly disrespectful. You don't need to have him in there. Another argument for another day and another rant. But I'll tell you what, let's review this game as objectively as I can because there's no such thing as unbiased. Don't get me started. Graphics. Now, the graphics in this game, they look all right. They do the job. They're serviceable. They even look good in some parts. They just don't look great. There's nothing revolutionary about the graphics. I don't think the game has looked better since COD 4. And maybe it's different on PC, but I think on console, and that's, I mean, I guess that's the predominant market they're going for nowadays, it doesn't look that good. And it still looks good. It still looks good enough. All the mods on your guns, all locations, they have their own like kind of thing, like own unique look, I guess. But it just really doesn't pop, if you will. I didn't mean that as like a euphemism for like explosives, but you know what I'm saying. So the graphics, 6 out of 10. They're good, they're okay, but they're not, you know, great. Let's go to the sound, and the sound is probably one of the elements that was actually somewhat better. The voice acting is on a pretty good standard the whole way through. Sam Worthington gets to do a bit of the old Aussie voice, and you know you can obviously tell that he's had a good conversation today and things. So it's a little bit of an odd choice for the main character because he's meant to be like, you know, straight up American. But all the rest of the voice cast doing a job. Ice Cube is definitely one of them, and there's a few others like named actors, like you know, full-time actors. They've got in to do it, and I wonder, I mean, if the money had been taken away from the gameplay, which sadly enough, I mean, it's still a good game. Oh, sadly enough, which oddly enough is still a good game, but they haven't fallen into the license trap. They haven't got these big names and then left the game to die because the game is still fairly decent. But gun sounds aren't that great. They don't sound like they should, and that's coming from someone who's only ever heard like 3 guns fight in my life. But the point is they just don't have that oomph. They don't have that thump to them. And I guess like the ambient noises are fine and the sound of the waves coming. I guess that's what you need, really. You need to know when people are attacking you. You need to be kind of compelled by the story. And while it wasn't necessarily the most compelling voice acting, it was certainly good enough. So I give the sound of this one 7 out of 10. And the gameplay, this is where we finally get down to the brass tacks of the situation. COD 4, and again, I know I harp on COD 4, but here we go. COD 4 was a great multiplayer experience, and it really was, but it was also a fantastic single-player experience, and it was a game that I could recommend as a single-player game. I could say to you, it's 6 hours, it costs you however much, but it is worth it. It is worth that 6 hour pledge. It is such a good single player experience. COD BLOPs, while maybe not on that level, is still a fantastic, fantastic game. I've certainly played a lot worse shooters than this, and that's the part that hurts me, is I have to be nice to a Treyarch game. And I will be. And I say fantastic, maybe not fantastic, but it's still a very solid game, very solid shooter. And it doesn't suffer from the grenade spam that really killed World at War. Everywhere, just grenades. I mean, if the Japanese had that many grenades in the real war, they would just throw a grenade at it. What's coming, throw a grenade at it. In this, you don't really suffer from that quite so much. There are a couple of annoying spawns, like the way the spawn works, and there's a couple of annoying little bits and pieces that kind of get you, like some of the quick time events and things that happen. But other than that, look, it's a pretty decent game. I can't really fault it. The single player has like an overarching story. There's certainly a point to it all. They managed to tie it back to the old one without having you just find him in a magical prison. Oh, look what we did here. It's The Rock. And I guess, I don't know, the multiplayer in itself is polished. It's got its issues, and it certainly has a few glitches, but it's not as bad as it was last time. The new mechanics work fairly well. The new perk system works like it's cash. You buy weapons with cash, you buy perks with cash, and then you upgrade them based on that. You can wager money, all that kind of stuff. There's a point to going prestige now, because obviously you earn more money, you need more money to pay for stuff. There is a point to it. It's not just pointless like it was last time. And I guess zombies, I didn't play zombies, as I said, the disrespectful part of it. I will not do it. It's as simple as that. So I guess all up, what I'm trying to say is the game, surprisingly good. I was not expecting anything much from them, and they've come out and shone. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. All up, 7 out of 10. I really think that really sums it up better than anything else. It's a good game. It's not great. And with that whole bullshit regarding JFK and zombies, I can't give it anything higher. But good solid shooter, certainly a fun multiplayer. I had more fun with it than I really wanted to. And I guess zombies would be alright if you're into that kind of thing, but Activision didn't need this review. This is kind of superfluous. They were going to sell millions anyway, but I figured you'd at least hear it from the honest voice in the industry. Well, no, somewhat honest. And thus we come to the end of another show. Kirsty, it's been fantastic. A couple of things to mention before we go.
Of course.
Speaking of fantastic, R18, there's been some progress on that.
Yes.
Federal government has said they will support a push for an R18 rating.
Well, yeah, that's right. There was a recent co-ag with all the skags in it, and they all have to really start pushing this ball along. So we can only really wait and see what's going to happen, because it's all well and good for the federal government to say things, but as we know, federal government can say things and things just don't happen. Well,
it needs to have a unanimous decision between all of the Attorneys General, and we've just had a new Attorney General, obviously, here in Victoria, who's a Liberal, and Rob Hulls was very much behind the R18 rating.
He pushed it a lot. He was actually one of the most vocal, so it's quite a sad day to see Rob Hulls leave.
Not to see Labor out.
Well, not to see Labor out, no, but to see Rob Hulls, who was really a bit of helping us gamers along and trying to get our voices heard.
Correct. Well, yeah.
R18,
I mean, there's two problems. Let's say the Attorney General say it, so they agree. Yep, no problem. Then they have to go through like a committee where they work out exactly what it's going to cover. So it's got to go through the gaming industry, gaming media, blah blah blah, and the Christian lobby.
Yeah, well, they do have a lot of influence, so.
Yeah, I guess when you dump money into one side and then you dump money into the other, you can't really lose because you're always going to win one. I don't know. No comment on politics.
Yeah, that's all right.
Make it very quick. Pez winners should be up on the website.
Check
if it was
it
up
out.
to Glare, you never would have won them. I had to go through every single one of them. And
You're a hero, Jason.
I am.
People should be sending you fan mail.
That's fine. I get it. But if it was up to Glare, he said stuff them. I don't even care. So send all your hate mail. Darthhomer@level3.org.au. Wasn't impressed. One last thing.
The Monash Bootcamp. Monash Bootcamp starts this week. It starts on Wednesday. So check it out. It's at the Caulfield campus and the Berwick campus.
So
the Caulfield campus is the big one.
Our day is Saturday the 11th, which is at the Caulfield campus. We're going to have a full day, hopefully a lot of stuff on the website, a lot of updating.
Live.
Going from the 8th to the 12th. Should be good. Hopefully
awesome.
anyone who attends will have a lot of fun, and we'll be willing to see anybody there, anybody who wants to come down.
Definitely, check it out.
And I guess that's it, Kirsty.
That's pretty much it. Remember the Facebooks, Twitter, website.
You've done this too much.
That's right,
done
baby.
And there's new website and stuff coming. No hints, but
it's all getting fancy now.
It is. We'll see you kids next time. Fucking.